All right, team, welcome back to After Hours. We have a great show for you today. We are back on our regular scheduled program here, and we are going to be talking a lot about some good topics today, very good topics for you guys, providing a lot of value for you, talking about the best exchanges, Bitcoin, why Coinbase is the best, and at the end of the show, we're going to have a little fact or fiction segment where I read some quotes by some high net worth individuals and come to analysis and see if these things are accurate or if they're untrue, fact or fiction. You get the title. All right, team, let's talk about Bitcoin here to start, though. We saw Bitcoin start to rally on Saturday, Maddie, and, I was just telling you before the show, I hate people hate us candle watching here. That's what they would call it, is like we stare at candles and we foresee where the price is going to go here. And we're just in a very interesting zone right now with Bitcoin. What can you tell us about Bitcoin right now?
Yeah, so Bitcoin over the weekend decided to defend a very important level. We look at kind of some of these quick downside moves that you have in the market, and especially when you're diving down to the bottom of the range with some like intense velocity, like we saw, especially on that last daily candle. That was a lot of volume. That was a very low wick. We did reclaim some of that, but that candle in itself was scary because we were wicking below the lows there. So we had kind of like a minor support level in here, right around 60,000, 60,000 and a half, and us wicking down here to 58 and a half was very scary. Now, of course, a lot of that was recovered. You guys can see all these daily candle closes here were above $60,000. So that was showing a lot of strength here where we previously have shown a lot of buyer demand stepping in. So yesterday's candle as well was a very important candle. We can see that it actually engulfed all these previous candles here. So we can also see bullish engulfment. It can be an indication of further, price movement in a particular direction if it engulfs the previous pieces of price action. So, us closing, above these last 4 days here, and then also closing now today's daily candle, or attempting to close today's daily candle after that last down candle we had on June 24, is showing a lot of momentum. So it's like we've discussed on the show. This really looks like the same kind of drawn out consolidation that we had over here, for a much more extended period of time before that next leg higher. So this was from March of 23 through about September of 23, and then you kind of get that next impulsive wave higher. So if we kind of look at where current price action's at, still very much sideway bound. We're seeing the buyer step in at the exact right place. If we can kind of flip that pivot zone again, right around 64K, and maintain that, that's going to be a very good indicator that we're maybe ready for that next leg towards the 84 or 85K region.
Absolutely, Matt. Thank you for that breakdown, team. So you know where we're at right here. We're buying crypto. Whatever money you're coming into right now definitely needs to go towards crypto, as this is the best investment vehicle of all time, and I'm not passing up on this, and I know Maddie is, and I know our community isn't passing up this opportunity. And speaking of the community, team, join Crypto Charged. You can join the platform, cryptocharged.com. You can click the pin link in the comment section down below. It'll take you to our platform where you can get 30 days using code YouTube. And you can also hop in our Discord after that and join the team and communicate with us. And on many occasions, we have talked about what we're about to talk about, which is, very basic, but it matters a lot, which is about exchanges. And I was talking to Maddie before, and he reminded me about our favorite exchange, Mexi. Well, at least my favorite exchange outside of the US. And a couple months ago, okay, Maddie, it was like 6 to 8 months ago, or like 5 to 8 months ago, is when some of our peoples were not allowed to create new accounts going into Mexi, and that completely rained on my parade, and I'm not looking forward to telling you guys that, hey, I use Mexi, Maddie uses Mexi, but you can't. I don't feel good about
Right.
telling you that. But if you just happen to, so this is like a small minority here, if you happen to have a Mexi account, congrats, because you can just use a VPN, which is like $9.99 per month, and you can have access to Mexi. So we're going to get into it now, and these are the three exchanges that we are using. And Maddie, can you quickly tell the team some other exchanges they can use that are in the realm of this?
Yeah, so we have some good options here. They all have their pros and cons to them. But one of them that we don't have listed here is going to be Kraken. Kraken's a very old exchange, of course. They're going after it with the SEC right now. So is Coinbase. This is there's not really even any legitimate big players that are safe from kind of like this regulatory mess that we're in. So I'm taking that with a grain of salt. Kraken's done a great job for years providing a really liquid trading platform. One of the bigger drawbacks maybe for Kraken is for some of you guys who are newer in the space or need maybe like a higher level of support if something goes wrong. Kraken does have a good team team, but I would say that the Coinbase team is a lot bigger, has a bigger infrastructure in place to help you out if you made some sort of mistake and help you get your account back and all these different things. And also the trading platform itself can be a little bit more straightforward in Coinbase if you're again new to this. But I'm not going to ever poo-poo Kraken as a bad choice. I always have it as a backup account. I've always maintained my account, always made sure on that bi-yearly basis to check in and update any information that's required in there to keep my account active. But Kraken is a very good US based alternative if you're not interested in Coinbase.
Absolutely, Maddie. And so the reason we are doing this team is because in the last couple of shows on the After Hours show, we have discussed a lot of value with you guys. We have discussed exit plans. We have discussed mindset things, key things that you need to know about. And this is just like one more additional thing that you need to be aware of. If you think back to it was the points of emphasis. One of those points of emphasis was exchanges. Exchanges matter. You need to be on as many exchanges as possible. And so when I was looking through my exchanges before the show, I remembered, oh yeah, I have Kraken. Oh, I can't use Gate.io anymore. Duh. And then there's Bybit. And then so I had all these exchanges that I have access to. Like I don't use Kraken because I have Coinbase, right? And so, but it is highly favorable to you to have access to as many exchanges as possible. And just to kind of wrap this in, because we've talked about this in the past, but just to kind of get into the nitty gritty here of why you need multiple exchanges is because in the past exchanges go down. All right, these places are marketplaces. This isn't a place to store your crypto. And Maddie, just give them a big reference if anyone's new here to crypto. Tell them a little bit about what 2022 looked like.
Yeah, it was ugly. Obviously, all around you had fraud with some large corporations, including FTX. You also had one of the largest cryptocurrencies out there with a incredibly high APY, algorithmic stablecoin pool. That was, a lot of the crypto ecosystem was getting kind of pinned up against. And then you had exchanges that were just overexposed to some of these entities like FTX, and that being the Celsiuses, that being the BlockFis, and of course FTX itself, FTX perpetuals. All of that collapse. We've gotten to a point now where some people have been able to recover a portion of the funds that were lost. But again, it's been over a 2-year process to get all of that back. So again, when we talk about these marketplaces, we're going to talk about pros and cons. There are going to be situations like we talk about in the consistent investor strategy where you're going to have to, bite the bullet a little bit and keep some, money on exchange in order to have a DCA schedule. But what we want to do is always minimize the amount of assets and time that we're on exchange when we don't have an intention to sell those assets. They do a decent job of being good custodians, but at the end of the day, watch out for yourself, watch out for numero uno, because you don't want to have to wait even if you get it back, right, 2-3 years. Crypto could be at an astronomically higher or lower price by then, right? So you want to have control.
Absolutely, Maddie. So, team, this might feel like a quick and swift movement through this, but if you can pause it at any point and just look over this and screenshot it for reference here. And these are some important things. We'll get down to the bottom and get into the actual pros and cons, but I think it's good to look at this first. From left to right, you can clearly tell Coinbase, very regulated, very safe. And then MEXC, you step into a territory, and honestly, you can substitute MEXC for probably some other exchanges out there that I'm not really privy to at this moment, where you could use a VPN. It's just with MEXC, it's not available for people to create an account here if you are in the US. And so user interface, Coinbase is great. And then when you go onto the other side, talking about MEXC, if you don't come from that KuCoin, BitGet background, it's going to look like a crazy platform to you. So go in, don't overwhelm yourself. I remember in the early days, people hopping onto KuCoin back in the day. And there's a lot of tools and a lot of tabs, and you open it and it just feels like you're in a casino, right, online. And that can be very scary for people. So just take it smooth, team. Just know going into it, it's a little bit more than KuCoin. It's a little bit more flashy, It gets a little bit scary for you, and it shouldn't be scary. You should be able to feel safe within this because you're in control. Nobody else is in control. And then when we talk about Uphold in the middle here, Maddie, it's funny because we talk about Uphold being very simple and whatever. But when I've talked to people that use Uphold, for some reason, they cannot figure out how to withdraw their crypto. They just can't. And it's so easy. And it's a completely different way of withdrawing on Uphold than it is KuCoin or whether it was MEXC or Coinbase. It's very simple, and it's just so funny because it's the platform itself is very sleek. It's very clean. It's very easy to use. There's uh, foreign assets on there, foreign other currencies on there. And but it's just like with like this withdraw thing, everyone struggles to do it, and it's just like a selecting of the network and then selecting of the token. Like people just don't read, Matt. They just don't. They
Yeah.
just go ahead.
I will say this though about Uphold is, I've been on a lot of different crypto platforms, and I've been here on Coinbase, well before Coinbase was the polished gem that it is today when it comes to user interface. If it was up to me, I would make every exchange have more of the KuCoin MEXC model because it's a little bit much to learn, but I would say at least deposits and withdrawals are like very, very clear. You can, select from networks. They, or give you big warnings if you're selecting a network that's not compatible with the coin that you're trying to send that over. So that's really the dream. But Uphold does make a little bit of an effort for the customer when they go to withdraw and they don't know they have to select a network, because what it appears to be is you say, I want to select, withdraw XRP, and they say where to, and you'll see your XRP wallet and then it says XRP network below. And if you're new to crypto, that's not going to be something that's super intuitive to you. So I'm going to at least give that one to retail as something, even as somebody who's been experienced on many exchanges. The first few times I would go in there, I'm like, the hell is this? Like, why am I having to select from a different list? So I think that'll be something that hopefully they fix in the future, or maybe offer like a pro version of Uphold. Big thing to remember about Uphold is they're technically a bank and they're regulated in the UK. So they operate just a little bit differently than the rest of the world when it comes to crypto exchanges. But nonetheless, they're highly insured. They'll get in huge trouble with the UK government if, they're, not a good fiduciary. You do have to KYC. They regularly ask for IDs. The one thing they are very good as well is protecting people. So maybe even to a fault, but you go to send money, especially if you're new, give you all these warnings, just like if you're going to go Zelle somebody, right? Like, hey, be careful, Uphold never is going to ask you to send money. If someone tells you need to send money right now, like stop, call somebody. Like, they do a good job with that at least. So, they could step it up when it comes to helping users, withdraw and deposit more easily. But as far as safety, I would say, and general ease of use, overall, I'd say it's a pretty decent option.
Yes. And so for any other beginners out here, again, you can just look at this, but like a couple more things I want to talk about here is the deposit methods, very accessible on Coinbase and Uphold. But when you're using a offshore exchange like MEXC or some of these other ones that, we've talked about, you have to deposit with crypto. So you buy on Coinbase
Right.
and you send the crypto to, or use a stable coin, you send that crypto onto the exchange. So there's no on ramp, right? And I know that's such a struggle for a lot of you out there. And you know what? I think you guys just need to understand like this is something completely different. This is you taking control of your investments. This is you taking control of your investment future. And nobody's going to do it for you except you, And so you have to learn these things. I know for older people that aren't as into tech as I may be. I'm Gen Z, and then so when I talk to my father or his father, this is completely foreign to them. But just with everything, take it slow, learn one little bit of it a day, and then you get into a week, you get 2 weeks later, all of a sudden you know how to use the platform. And then was there anything else? And then with withdraws, you can't withdraw back to your bank account when you use an offshore exchange. You guys should know this. So for you newbies, again, you have to create a Coinbase account. From there, you have to create accounts on other platforms. You need to be diversified with exchanges, I guess. You need to have plenty of options. And the reason we're talking about these three in specific, I'm sorry about MEXC, guys, but the reason we're talking about these three in specific is that these are what has been around for a while. And these are likely the ones that are going to be at the forefront of this bull run. Very used exchange. We can talk about Binance, we can talk about Kraken, but within the realm of what we do here at Crypto Charge, the assets we buy, our goals, these are exchanges that meet those goals. And I kind of want to scroll down here with you and talk briefly about the pros and cons here. And let's just get right to it. Coinbase, very regulated and trusted. Friendly interface, very easy for you newbies. And if you are a newbie, I've said it time and time again, start with Coinbase, and they have learn videos for you so you can be taught how to use the exchange, a lot about crypto, so it's a one-stop shop over there. Now, when you start talking about more advanced things, That's what we're here for. It's not like they are a company trying to help you buy crypto, but obviously they want you to only do business with Coinbase. We are here. We're not, I don't get paid by Coinbase. We're not fanboys of Coinbase. I just utilize Coinbase and I use their Coinbase One subscription. But I'm not going to sit here and die for Coinbase like a lot of you die for Uphold. Remember that, Maddie, when everyone was like,
Oh man.
do you remember that when everyone was like
Yeah.
standing up for Uphold? And I get why, they had XRP on there. But when it came to some of the things we didn't like about Uphold, just talk about it a little bit because apparently everyone likes it when you talk about Uphold, Maddie. That's some of our most viewed videos. But discuss what you didn't like about Uphold and we can kind of discuss where it's at in present day.
Yeah, I've always got little bones to pick with each of these exchanges, and again, I've been around these a long time. A big reason why this whole concept of kind of like using VPNs and other things to get onto exchanges, because my background in when I was learning a lot about charts and the markets and everything was from foreign exchange markets. So you want to get on a Wanda and you've got like this crappy liquidity and they give you very low leverage. If you're willing to either jump through a couple wallets or buy some Bitcoin, learn to buy some Bitcoin, send it over to these exchanges, it'll drop it back down into dollars. You can do some trading and then transfer back. So I do have kind of like just this background in it already, so it makes it a lot easier. As far as Uphold, like we said, they're doing their best to be user friendly. There's a couple things that make it feel like Robinhood, and that's going to be the deposit and the withdrawal feature. Just feels kind of clunky. Doesn't ever want you to really make it easy for you to withdraw. Right? Again, I think there is this big game for a lot of these exchanges to try to make it easier for them to continue to have custody, because that's overall net positive for them. But one of my biggest beefs with Uphold, and I had been an Uphold customer a long time because it was one of the places I was buying XRP when every other exchange here in the US had delisted it. Uphold is UK based, but they were still offering to KYC customers, KYC US customers, the ability to buy and sell XRP. So to that, I've always applauded them. Now, we look at when coins get listed or integrated, and there's exchanges like KuCoin, exchanges like MEXC, and they list new assets all the time. And it's not because they have to sit there and pay their engineers to figure out how to integrate deposit and withdrawals. All of these protocols within their code tell you the methodology that things that needs to happen on their network in order to make a successful deposit or withdrawal, right? Like there's instructions on wallet creation and all these different things. So when these exchanges list these things, immediately I can deposit that asset, I can withdraw that asset. And Uphold, when they listed Casper, for example, it was almost a whole year that they didn't let us withdraw our Casper. Like, oh, we're working on it. Sorry, our team's having a really tough time. It at a certain point just becomes BS, right? You're spending all this time, and money listing new assets. At each time you list an asset, it should be fully available for deposit, withdraw, and then buying and selling within the platform there. It defeats the entire purpose of crypto, in my opinion, by not allowing people to take custody. Now, seasoning periods are a different thing, right? That could be anywhere from instant with certain debit card purchases to up to 7 to 9 days if you're going ACH or otherwise. And again, that's to make sure that the transaction goes through. You're not going to double spend on them. You take a bunch of crypto and then you dip, right? Like that's something. The main reason there's a seasoning period is they want to see settlement on the legacy systems. But outside of that, that's probably the biggest issue I had with Uphold. They also just didn't seem to care when the community was very loud about wanting to have self-custody, especially when they cut away our staking program here in the US and then still didn't do anything about the withdrawals. That was very frustrating because people were genuinely losing money by not having the ability to stake. So, fast forward to today, we have all of that, available, deposit, withdrawal, everything. I'm past it now, but their fee schedule, it can be a little bit high, but right now it's probably the only place you can actually run a true classic hands-off DCA right now for Casper. So, if you guys are just trying to DCA Casper regularly, Uphold's not a bad an option. You're just going to pay a little bit more for that fee schedule.
Absolutely. If you're DCA on like that weekly, bi-weekly period where you're dropping more than $500 down,
Right.
Uphold is your place.
Right.
But, I do like MEXC. And when we're looking at the pros here, you have to be very critical of the pros when it comes to these exchanges because you'll find yourself being like, oh, I guess it's good enough. And so when I look at the pros of like MEXC and when I get to see the wide range of cryptocurrencies, well over 1,000. And then we talk about the advanced tools, which is something Coinbase is just now adopting, getting into. We understand why. And then the no KYC, I don't have to explain why that is. If you're new here and you don't know anything about KYC, know your customer, just look it up because I'm not going to talk about it here. And so those are like some great pros. Those are like some grade A pros right there. Those outweigh Uphold. Those basically outweigh Coinbase to me because I can go on there, buy, and then take everything off Again, I'm so sorry that you cannot create a Mexi account. It's so embarrassing for me here. But you guys can find some offshore exchanges here, and we will be discussing a lot about them in the Discord. Maddie was just telling me one that he's been looking at in the Discord. Not well, he posted about it in the Discord, but he's overlooking right now. So if you want to know about that offshore exchange, just join the Discord. But let's talk about the cons here really quick, Matt. If you don't have a Coinbase One and are on Coinbase, you are just shooting yourself in the foot. But why are you shooting yourself in the foot if you don't have a Coinbase One subscription, Matt?
Yeah, so if you're not going to go and just save some money on Kraken and learn the platform and just be able to pay a lower spread there, because Kraken technically does have lower fees and spreads than Coinbase, that's just a fact. If you're the person who wants to stay in the Coinbase ecosystem because you appreciate the other things, whether it be the debit card or the ability to earn APY on your USDC holdings, then you're going to want to go with Kraken. But if you're inside Coinbase, you're like, all right, I'm going to stick with this ecosystem. You do have Coinbase Advance as well. With the Coinbase One membership, and again, this is not something I earn any money on. You guys can go find a promo code anywhere on it. It's $30 a month, and basically what you get is up to $10,000 a month in trading fees waived completely. You earn whatever the current going rate for APY is on USDC. So I think right now it's like 5 point something. And again, a big benefit of that is you can have limits set inside of Coinbase or Coinbase Advance. I'd recommend doing inside Coinbase Advance. But while you're waiting for that USDC to fill, because you can fill them in USDC instead of USD, you can still earn interest on those coins that are sitting there. So at least you're kind of like getting some forward progress with that. So overall, I would say that Coinbase One definitely, because 99% of my DCA is inside of Coinbase, I get my money's worth because I'm able to do that on a daily schedule. Now, let's say you're, doing this on, a more macro schedule once a month or something like that. Maybe Coinbase One isn't for you, and it's better to just go buy a market order once a month in Coinbase Advance, or go do that on Kraken. But if you're trying to get a high level of DCA and you still want that US experience, that US customer service, the debit card, all these different things, Coinbase One is going to be an obvious, answer for you guys. When you look at the cost of one transaction on a small amount, right, it can be like $2, on a single small transaction. $2 times 30 days, right? You're already at $60. You're at double what you would have spent. And that, doesn't include the spread either. So it can be something very, very helpful. I'm not saying it's the only option. There are plenty of other US options, as well as, BitUnix, if you guys want to get on a little bit of more of a foreign exchange. Again, you're gonna have to move crypto over there. It's not gonna have that same level of support that Coinbase has, but you guys kind of have to just got to make a decision what's good for you across the board. I feel very comfortable with Coinbase. I have all of my stuff whitelisted on their back to my ledger, so I don't even have to open my ledger up. I can just kick them all to my ledger every Sunday. It makes it very, very easy for me. So at least bunker down heavy in one exchange and make it your main, but having some other options, having some other backups. I'm on Kraken. I still have a Femex account, so you guys can't sign up for that. I've got a BitUnix account. I've got Uphold still. I give myself options, and I make sure that I'm familiar with DEXs, guys. That's not what we're focusing on here, but make sure that you've at least explored the interface of like a Sushi Swap or a Uniswap, just so you can understand, hey, if it came down to this, I need to connect to a DEX in order to, get some liquidity here. I at least know what that looks like. I know where the buy and sell is. I've done a test transaction. I can see, how to adjust my slippage and things like that. It's okay to run some dry tests, guys, and make sure you're comfortable across the board. So I guess, that's what we're really getting after here is, we have some of our preferred, we have places we like to call home base, but making sure that you have backups, making sure you have options is absolutely key in this space. If you think it's not going to happen to you, we're not special, we're not unique. Servers go down, bad things happen to good people. Try to be in self-custody and use these marketplaces at your liege.
All right, Maddie, we are running fast out of time here. I don't even know if we should do fact or fiction. We're already at 23 minutes here. What do you think?
I don't know. Maybe we take a couple of them.
I'll give you one, just one that really set it off here.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do one fact or fiction here. Here's the quote, if you're in profit, take profit. What do you think about this statement right here, Maddie, as not only as like a trader, but as like an overall investor? Like, obviously this phrase was coined by people well before crypto was ever around.
Absolutely.
So what do you really think about this phrase, if you are in profit, take profit?
I mean, from a very, very macro sense, I agree with it all around. Obviously, if you're up 1%, is that the right time to take profit? Probably not, especially in the crypto space, but really it comes down to having a multi-layer exit approach where you are guaranteeing, even at smaller amounts, I'm going to be taking some chips off the table. Big reason why I'm so, keen on a very big take profit one is within that take profit, I want to realize the initial principal that I put back into my investment back in my pocket, right? That's reducing risk. That is reducing exposure. And a lot of people have difficulty with that because, especially when the markets are very euphoric, you're like, you idiot. If you think we have, this many more X's to go, why would you start selling? Because it's not promised. It's not guaranteed, right? We can look at probabilities. We can look at extensions. We can look at what price has done in the past and compare it to what price is going to do in the future. But at some point, we have to start de-risking. And if we think that we're going to de-risk at the exact same time as a retail unit together and sing kumbaya and sell the top, not happening, right? So always being in the mindset as we get into these more euphoric periods, take more chips off the table, reduce risk. As the bear market sets in, add more risk, add more exposure. You guys want to move with the rest of the market, right? You want to be very contrarian in that sense. So as soon as you find yourself sending screenshots where you're shaking and you can't believe it to your friends and family, probably time to take some chips off the table, right? But bottom line, have a plan. Make sure that is at least a 3-step plan, if not a 4 or 5-step plan, and then also consider long-term holds.
Yeah, Maddie, I've thought a lot about this quote over the last week. Actually, this was in my notes from last week. And when thinking about if you're in profit, take profit, that's just when you see green, right? And,
Right.
What you have to understand about what we're trying to do here is we're not trying to see our assets in the green. We are trying to sell our assets at certain price points, all right? That is what gives us credibility. And kind of stepping back a couple shows where we discussed like selling crypto and I showed you my API 3 bag, I set those prices. And the reason, and I joked about it on that show about the 8 Fibonacci, where I'm selling my third bag, where I'm foreseeing a crazy pump where I could see that happen. If it doesn't happen, that's okay. I could sell at the 4.236. But with that mindset though, Matt, I am okay selling one bag, but why? Why am I okay selling one bag? Honestly, because I'm making a ton of money, and also too, that gives me credibility. When I can show you guys my game plan and I execute that game plan with the premise of if I sell this bag, I am credible. Once it hits this price point, I sell. That gives me credibility. Now, let's take that a step further though. If I can control my emotions and foresee price keep going and be able to sell at another extension, that gives me even more credibility. And that's all I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make money and prove I can sell crypto properly. Because guess what, Matt? A lot of these people can't. I've discussed it time and time again. Everyone wants to act like they, know what assets to buy and their portfolio's in green. But what money are you making right now? You'll be able to easily tell by my desk setup, my background, how crypto affects me this bull run, right? You'll be able to see the change. You'll be able to say, oh, Gavin's moving a lot different. Gavin, you can tell Gavin's new office space was an upgrade because of his crypto profits, And so this is why, if you're in profit, take profit definitely doesn't make sense if you are a trader, right? So your candle, the price moves up a little bit and your P&L is in the green and then you sell. No, Maddie, we know that's not, accurate, and you've discussed on plenty of occasions about win rate and that not mattering. It's really about what are you actually taking home? What are you risking and what are you taking home? And that's what matters here, team. And so this quote really irked me last week because this is a quote that a lot of people adopt, which is true, but it's not entirely true. It doesn't tell the full story. And I can't even grasp where that quote came from, Matt. And we had a lot of other quotes I wanted to get into here today, but we're at 28 minutes. Maddie, anything to leave the team with here, just because, we've talked about the last couple shows. It is a very important moment. Bitcoin is looking to make its way up, but our altcoins are still somewhat flat. We're seeing a little bit of gains across the board here when it comes to our altcoins, but not drastic, right? So what's the mindset right now, Matt? Give me something that I can feel right now. I want some motivation right now.
Yeah, so for me, there's basically three or four assets I'm really focusing on right now. Like we talk about in the consistent investor strategy, there's 4 or 5 different ways you can approach, getting into the market based on what market conditions are. For me, it's kind of a blend between DCA and limit-based ordering, but really more heavy on the DCA in about 3 of those assets right now. So for me, I'm just hyper focused on those. I'm basically brought my average to current market price or right around current market price with this DCA, especially being a concentrated traded DCA instead of spreading over my 8 to 12 assets. I'm only dropping these into 3 or 4. Once we're kind of away from those prices, I'm going to definitely back off the DCA. More will either be going towards limit-based ordering or to the fiat reserve bag. Kind of just like polishing off any bags that I see that are maybe lacking here. But overall, I'm very, very happy with my positions. I'm happy with my position sizes, happy with the verticals I'm in. So I'm here with you guys to get through this next part here. It's going to be some exciting months ahead of us when we do get some big breakouts across the board and we do some profit taking, we do some rotating. And of course, we have our plans now, but the market's the market, and there might be other opportunities we didn't previously identify and be able to get into those swing trades and even take some of that compounding further. So I'm very excited for those more volatile points in the market. We're going to be able to make a lot of great moves. I'd like for you guys to check that out with us. CryptoCharge is 30 days free with code YouTube. Doesn't matter what plan you pick. So day 29, you're like, hey, I appreciate it, man. I saw the 5 live shows. I checked out the coin library. I was there in the Discord. Just not for me. You're not hurting my feelings. Just let me know what we could do better, and I will cancel your membership and won't charge you a dime. All right. I know what it's like to join a program or hear about a program and it's promising to change your life. I'm going to give you guys a whole month to check it out and see if it even vibes with you at all, because it may or may not. I hope it does. But either which way, you can use code YouTube. Check that out. Hope to see you guys in there soon.
A lot of value today, team. We went 9 minutes over, so make sure you like the video here. And this is kind of like the last probably prong we're going to get into when it comes to some of these fundamental things that we need to be doing as crypto investors as it relates to investing, exchange. All the things we've talked about in the last couple of shows are a lot of value there. So make sure if you need, like if this was too early for you where we're talking about exchanges, go back to some of the points of emphasis we talked about on other shows. And again, team, make sure you like this video because we went over. Team, we will see you guys on Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific for the Ask Maddie show. So make sure if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. Honestly, if you have questions about anything about the exchanges or the particulars, leave that in the comment section. We will pull that up. We'll see you guys Wednesday. Bye.